Mesilat Yesharim. We're finishing chapter 2 over here about being watchful and paying attention to our deeds. So he says over here, yes, we have to do Hashbon. He says that where were we? Over here, yeah. פשוט הוא שאפילו אם יפקח אדם על עצמו, אין בכוחו לנצל אלא קדוש ברוך הוא עוזרו. We said last time that there's no, I'm sorry, we're in chapter 3. I'm sorry, I apologize. Over here, so he says that what is this similar to guarding ourselves? Is the gan mevucha. Back in the days, the kings used to make entertainment for their guests. They used to make a big maze, with bushes, and it used to be whoever gets to the middle first gets a prize. So they used to go and try to figure out the maze. So what they used to do was the people who were really stuck, they couldn't come out, they gave up. So the people who know the maze, they would go to the middle, and then from the middle they would yell them, well, where are you? And they would tell them where to go. So he says that we have to realize that sometimes we need this also. Life is like a maze, and you have to make sure you're going the right way, and hopefully you figure it out by guarding yourself and paying attention to your deeds. Is it the right way? Is it the wrong way? Is this a smart thing to do? Not a smart thing to do? Is it a holy thing to do? Holy, not holy thing to do? So he says, but what do? Sometimes people get stuck, people get lost. And if you can't manage the maze by yourself, what should you do? You have to find the guy who already made it to the middle and let him guide you, right? Let him tell you which way to go, because he already knows. So therefore, a person has to be willing, or a big part of doing cheshbon nefesh and doing teshuvah is to be willing to listen to somebody who is older than you, somebody who already went through this, and somebody who has experience, and someone, at least who created the maze. For sure, the guy who created the maze would also be able to tell you where to go. And that's HaKadosh Baruch Hu and His Torah and our tzaddikim, our sages. Our sages went through this life, and they have experience. They took all the wisdom. There's some people who went through life and they didn't learn the wisdom. They have bad advice. We're talking about the Chachamim. The Chachamim, they're only giving us good advice, and therefore a person has to be willing to listen to the guide. If you're not willing to listen to the guide, you're gonna have a very hard time sometimes. So therefore, you get stuck and you keep making the same mistakes. So therefore, a person has to be careful not to fall into this pleasure-driven world that's around him. He has to be willing to turn his ear towards the guide in the middle, which is the Torah and the Chachamim. I just saw the other day, there was a video of a guy, a young guy. He made this watch company, and he was making a lot of money. And the bigger watch company has offered him $100 million to buy his watch company. So I think Movado bought him out or something like that. So he said, no problem. And he, at 25, 26, he sold his company $100 million. So then he's like, he wakes up the next day, the money's in his account. He's like, so what do I do? So in the first 2 months, 3 months, he goes and he just enjoys, buys the car he wanted, buys the house, goes here, goes there, vacation here, vacation there, enjoy. Then he's like, so now what? What do I do? And he said, he's like, I had everything, but I felt like I had nothing. And I was just looking to pleasure myself, to pleasure by this pleasure, by that pleasure, but I felt like always something missing. And he says, my friends who, didn't have life I had, they always say, you have everything, and you're the most depressed guy. It doesn't make any sense. He started doing drugs, he started doing this, started trying to find himself, didn't know what to do. He said he started having panic attacks. Randomly panic attacks. The guy's sick, he can't breathe, and I wish I was you, people would say, right? So he says that the people who saw me wished to be me. And the people I saw, I wish to be them. I wish I was back to grinding like they were, back to hustling like they were. And he says, I need to find something that makes me excited. Before it was coming to work every day and trying to make it work and trying to come up with a new idea, and I was creative and I was excited and I was motivated. And now I lost all that because I have nothing to work for. I have nothing to look forward to and no goal. I'm not going anywhere. So he says that killed my spirit. My body couldn't function anymore. I was dying. So therefore, he changed his whole mentality. He took upon a new project. He wants to become like a motivator, a self-help, and he wants to help others. But it's so funny how the grass is always greener on the other side. And then you go to the other side and you're like, oh, the grass is green over there. And then you come back to this side, oh, the grass is green over there. The person has to know, stop looking at the other side. Get yourself together. Do what you need to do. Do the right things for yourself. And the looking over there is what kills you. And then what never makes you comparison is the killer of happiness. So therefore, a person has to be careful not to listen to everybody else, listen to the guide in the middle, and get out of the maze. So therefore he says, this is only going to happen if you do cheshbon nefesh. The older people, he says, they always look at the younger people, and they say, you're more wealthy than me. How? How am I more wealthy than you? You're older than me. He says, no, you have more years than me. You are wealthier than me. I wish I was your. If you see a guy, he's 18 years old. Wow, I remember when I was 18. I wish I would be 18 again. Wow, if I would do this, I would do that. I would do this, I would do that. So a person has to know that we don't have so much time, and you have to realize that the years that we have left are only going to be meaningful if we consider and do the right thing with those years. Chapter 4. He says, how do you acquire this trait of doing cheshbon nefesh? Limud Torah. The only way to be able to fulfill your purpose of your goal of having one's existence to unite with God and to make sure that you have cheshbon nefesh, you know what's good and what's bad. How do you know what's good and what's bad? What a person might think that the bad is good and good is bad. So a person has to first start learning Torah. That's why Pinchas ben Yair said, Torah meviya lidei zehirut. Torah is what brings you through carefulness, to watchfulness. So therefore, the only way is to learn Torah. You have to make sure that you learn Torah in the morning, learn Torah in the evening. It's like, imagine I gave you tefillin, right? And I said, put it on. But you never learned how to put on tefillin. Will you guess how to put on tefillin? There's no way to guess. I don't know. You have to know it the right way, or you don't know the right way, right? Tell you drive the car. Guess how to drive the car. Maybe some people will figure it out. Maybe some people won't. It's very hard. So therefore, if you don't learn, how will you know the laws of Shabbat? If you don't learn, how will you know how to put on tefillin? If you don't learn Musar, how will you learn what's good and what's bad? Right? Like, for example, look at the story with Chaim Ozer Grzinski, right? How the sages always lived their lives with the Torah. Right? He was one of the greatest Chachamim, one of Gdolei Ador. So he had a guest on Sukkot. So he was sick with a cold, and therefore he said, I'm exempt from sitting in the Sukkah. It's there, Patur min Sukkah. I'm sitting in the Sukkah, it's freezing, I'm cold, I'm sick. I can't sit here, I'm exempt. However, his wife served the guests in the Sukkah, and all of a sudden Rav Chaim Ozer came out to sit in the Sukkah. So the guest said, Rabbi, you're sick, you're exempt from the Sukkah. He says, okay, from the laws of Sukkah, I'm exempt, but who says I'm exempt from Achnasat Orchim? There's no exemption of being sick, right? So you see that what? They always thought every single action is right, it is wrong. What does halakha say? Oh, halakha is for that, but doesn't apply to this. See, they could have just said, no, I'm sick, that's it, finished. It's like some people said, you have to learn business halakha. How do you know that the business is allowed? What do you mean, Rabbi? But it's my job. I said, but what if it's asur? But it's my job. What do you mean? How am I supposed to make money? I said, I understand, but if your job is to do something asur and you're stealing, is it worth it to say, oh, it's my job and to make all that money and then olam haba, you're going to get a rude awakening? But Rabbi, but it's my job. How can you say that? It's asur, it's my job. So a person who doesn't learn Torah and see the severity of the sins of stealing and doing business properly, he can make his own rationalization and say, oh, but it's my job, it's mutar. So a person has to make sure that he studies Torah in order to be able to make the right decision if it's bad, if it's good. יש בהתבוננות הזה הערות בדרגי שלמי הדעת, פחותים מהם, כל ההמון כולו. He says there's various levels of understanding, and people at different levels will understand different things. So therefore, a person has to try his best, and this is what it means to have true yirat shamayim. What does this mean? He says that to have true yirat shamayim, she'adam yiret tamid doeg pen yimtza biyado ez shemetz chet. What does it mean to have yirat shamayim? That you're fear of heaven. That maybe in my deeds there's something I did that's wrong. Right? A person wants to know that when he serves his father likes to have honey with the tea. Right, and you put sugar, and you say, "Oh, I put sugar. No, he's not gonna like it. I'm afraid that I'm gonna, disappoint him." That's what it means to have yirat shamayim. The person should always make sure in my deeds, make sure that not just that it shouldn't be wrong, even within my action, that it shouldn't be no wrong in it. It should be proper from the beginning to the end, and that's only if a person studies Torah. A person he eats, he checks the calories. Person, he goes to exercise, he makes sure he does this workout, legs today, or back today, or arms today. Person, everything we do, we try to get to a certain target and to do it the right way, and we have to have in our spirituality the same thing. Baruch Adonai Olam.